Hey folks, Rene Enriquez. Welcome back to Uncensored. We're going to do some Q&A for the Insta fans. A lot of questions pouring in and comments. I want to address those. I want everybody to be all included here. So we're going to get right to it. First comment was from D. Muerte, David Muerte. I still want to know whereabouts in Cerritos did Rene grow up. He once alluded to City Park East in an interview, which I think may have been mistaken for Cerritos Park East. That's exactly it. I lived on Carmenita and Artesia Boulevard. Uh, right off of Stowers Street in the brand new track homes there. So that's where I lived at. But I frequented the areas. Cerritos Park East was exactly it. There you go, bro. And this is next one is Angel Omano Lakis. What advice would you give to the youth that aspire to be what you used to be or reach that status? I feel like there's a lot of misguided kids that really need to hear the truth about someone that's lived a lifestyle rather than the average person. You know, I think the best advice would be stay in school. I know it sounds lame, it sounds geezer. You know, don't do drugs, stay away from school, don't join a gang. This is the end result of it. And if you don't believe me, look at everybody else that it's happened to. There's no glamorous ending for this. I don't think that anybody possesses the panacea or the silver bullet to cure the ills of society. I think this is a generational problem that's been happening since 1856 in the Five Points Gang in New York, the first documented organized gang. It's happened, you know, for centuries in other cultures. And it's a plague. It's a plague that nobody possesses the answer to. I think that guys like me have some credibility in terms of kids when they listen to, and we may be effective or maybe not. That's not for me to tell. Uh, but I think it necessitates a little bit more than a brief answer in Insta. This is something I'm going to think about, probably do an episode on. Good comment, good question. Next one is H. Robles 251. What is your personal belief on the death penalty as a form of punishment? I believe in it wholeheartedly. I fought the death penalty. And by all rights, I should have received the death penalty. I had multiple murders, and there were special circumstances. Um, and I believe that some people deserve it. You know, I'm not judging anybody specifically, but there are certain things that occur, like killing kids and innocent people that aren't participants in this. And there's no justification for any murder. But those are particularly heinous crimes. Um, and some people just don't change. They don't. And I also believe in rehabilitation, that all people can change. But those who show dedication to being criminal, dysfunctional, and dangerous, and yeah, I mean, they're taking up good air. I know that sounds harsh. That doesn't sound all inclusive. It's not progressive. It's not woke. But that's how I feel, and that's how I'm going to stay believing. Some people deserve to be killed. The next one is from Dosh Poles. One of my biggest questions was, are the wiretaps you post only during your time with the EME, or are they also from after you dropped out? After I dropped out. All these calls are from after the period where I began cooperating and I became an analyst for law enforcement or communications analyst and expert witness. That's how I get them. That's how I get the calls. Each case that I work on, I'm provided with specific calls or communications. I interpret those communications, and that's how you're hearing them today. Next question is from uh, Oscar Omar Mesa, 1982. Oscar Mesa. Good afternoon, Mr. Enriquez. My question for you is, what has been the biggest adjustment that you have had to make, not only in your personal life, but also in today's world and society, now as a regular Joe? Y también, ¿qué es lo que falta hacer el señor Enriquez para estar, para estar tranquilo con esta vida, con su vida? Well, the biggest adjustment is probably just the freedom, not having to ask permission for everything. I remember before it was like, can I get this? Can I throw this in the trash can? Can I go outside of my cell? Can I go to the yard? And even when I was out to court and I had a bit of freedom, I was still in shackles and still in restraints. I was incarcerated every day of those 32 years, 4 months and 11 days. So it's the freedom. That's the adjustment. And no me falta nada. You know, tengo todo que tengo que tener para estar tranquilo y en paz y contento. I feel blessed, bro. You know, I do feel blessed. And I'm pretty simple, so I don't need much. So the next one is from LJM 1985. Yo, Box, what's the G inside the handstand for? Never knew the meaning to it other than maybe gangster. No, it's not a G, it's an M. In fact, what you don't see inside my black hand is the EME. It's very faint. It's kind of shaded over, but it was intended to be put that way. So it's a black hand with the word M. But I have seen black hands with the G that's in the shield, and that's the symbol of the Eternal Warrior from the Aztec shield, right? That's what it means, the symbol of the Eternal Warrior. There's your question. Pablo, sí, una pregunta que tengo es como una pregunta que tengo es cómo fue convivir con Güero Shai. Hey, para mí, el Güero Shai fue mi amigo y lo consideré como mi hermano y siempre lo consideré como mi hermano. Es posible que me, que me odie ahorita, pero he's still my friend. I still pray for him. You know, it's just the way it is. You know. Machiavelli 13 day underscore DA underscore 1. Why doesn't the Mexican Mafia tax female prostitutes in LA or on Figueroa Street? I'm not sure that they don't. But I believe that territory might be controlled by black gangs. That may be the reason why it's not. But I know that they have it in Florencia and a couple of other areas, so it's not unheard of for the Mexican Mafia. Lucky Lion underscore Lucky underscore Lion underscore 63. If the shoe is a 23-hour housing, where did they smoke the rolly cigarettes? In the cell or on the yard? You go to the yard, you smoke out there so they can't smell it, or you smoke it in the unit, and some cops don't even care. Other cops come in and they'll raid the place for the order of cigarettes. Next question. Miguel Hernandez underscore JR1. How do you compare the Mexican Mafia to the Italian mob families, the structure, the codes, the loyalty? I think that the whole template of the Mexican Mafia, the organization, is based on East Coast Mafia as it was, right? But the loyalty, the structure, it's way different in the organization. There's decentralized leadership. There is some semblance of a committee. The feds had a commission, which is defunct now. It's kind of like every man for himself. California has an emerging committee or mesa, which may or may not last. I seriously think that it'll last because all commissions fall. That has been the history in the Mexican Mafia. Next question. This is Mary Angela, 13, with the name of Mary Angela Alvarado. You mentioned guys that have a title go to state and have that title removed. Are they marked for death? Are they just given the title to be used in the streets? I'm not certain what that question means. Like they have a street crew chief, or they're a secretary on the streets. They lose the title once they're out of the crew. Like if you're a secretary on the streets, you don't come in automatically and you're a secretary in jail. Or if you're a crew chief on the streets, you don't automatically come into the county jail or the prison system and you're a crew chief in there. A little different. That's what I think you're saying, right? If I'm not correct on your question, please, reemphasize it, make it a little clearer for me, and I'll answer it. But there you go. Roman, Roman Xavier Avila. At the top of all the chaos, is the master manipulator at the top of the food chain in prison? I think so, But they don't last. They stay at the top of the food chain for a finite period until they're discovered. Once it's discovered they're politicking and manipulating, they're eliminated. It's really the sincere, loyal guys that have credibility, that carry themselves with dignity. Those are the guys that stay at the top and stay away and refrain from all the politics that survive. Next question. 6 Trey 6. So when you decided to flip on the organization, how did you do it? Why did you decide to do it? And what was the process when you did it? That's what we call a shotgun question, bro. One question at a time. That's 3 questions in one, but I'm going to give it to you, right? I'm going to shotgun it right back at you. I didn't do it. They came to me. They were listening to my visiting when I decided to do it. They were listening to my visiting, and they heard a recording of me with another person saying, what would you do if I wasn't this anymore? I'm so damn tired of this shit. What would you do if I wasn't boxer anymore? They heard that statement, and from that, they knew I wanted to flip. I never wrote them. I never called out to them. I never did anything. They came to me. And it was on a regular, it wasn't a planned thing. It was just spontaneous. I was going to medical, and they came and got me. And they talked to me about changing my life and let us help you, and you could save lives. And And the process is you go through a debrief. You go through an extensive debrief. I was in there 15 minutes, and by the time I finished talking to this guy, I had a cup of coffee in my hand, a dip in my mouth, and they had the United States Attorney General's office, the Director of Corrections, and the SSU on the phone, and we went and had a conference call about immunity and about all this other stuff, right? Queen for a day status. Queen for a day status is you put everything on the table that you've ever done, and you receive immunity from prosecution for those crimes, right? By that specific agency. Doesn't mean you have blanket immunity for the rest of your life. So there's some misconception about what that entails. But it was, that's the process, right? Then you go through debriefing for multiple agencies. I debrief for years, for multiple agencies. And really, when you sit down with an agency, you debrief with them. So that process still continues. It's a way to vet the quality and control of the information you're giving so they can verify it with multiple sources. Okay, this is Art Day is 37, and the name is Meme. Let's say a Chicano goes to prison. I hate that word Chicano. Ethnic label, bro. Ethnic label. Somos Mexicanos. Goes to prison and he wants to stay clean, away from the gangs, drugs, and all the BS. Can he choose to stay in his lane and not associate with any race inside? Or do gangs inside make you one with someone? At the very least, you're going to be a resident, right? A resident is a non-gang member who's Hispanic, and you're not expected to do anything unless it's a racial riot. Then everybody's expected to participate. You got to jump, right? If not, you might suffer the consequences. Okay, we're moving on to Nelson, BDC 1235. Comment. Always telling people at work and friends to follow your YouTube and Instagram. We support you in all your future endeavors, bro. You inspire so many people. If you only knew, God bless you with health and wealth. Bro, I totally appreciate that. I totally appreciate that. And that's the objective here. It's not for glorification. This isn't for glorification because I need to live the old life. I can't let it go. None of that. None of that is true. This is to reach out to the one person. Says you can change, bro. If I can change, you can change. A different life is possible, and you don't have to do what I did. You don't have to go down that road, but you can walk away, and you can walk away without consequences. And that's the truth. Thank you so much for your comment. Another one, Chola A Periodical. Comment, failure is not defeat. It's a lesson, a stepping stone, and sometimes a necessary detour towards something greater. Defeat happens only when you stop trying. Every stumble carries knowledge. Every setback builds strength. And every no teaches you how to get to your yes. Keep going, sir. You got this. That is so awesome. Chola A Periodical. That is so inspiring. I mean, you have such an articulate way with words. I dare say that, you are even more articulate than me. Because your point was well taken, and I've always said that. Some people say it's manipulation. When you don't accept no and you keep trying, you get your yes. If that's manipulation, then I'm a manipulating motherfucker, and that's just the way it is. Because when I set out to accomplish something, I let nothing stand in my way. I'm driven, I'm focused, I'm laser intent, and that's the way it is. You have to outwork and out improve everybody. You have to. I mean, this is a world that's competitive. And if you want to achieve something in this life, that's what it is. So failure is not defeat for me. It's just another chance to improve. So thank you so much, Chola A Periodical. I truly appreciate it. Keep contributing your constructive comments to the channel. I read them all. And just so you guys all know, I read all comments. I personally read all comments. Sometimes the social media manager responds to the comments, but 99.9% of the time it's me when I have time. Lately, I've been out of the state for a while, going to different events, and you see a lapse in my comments. So that was the reason for that. Last question. Junior _ 1.19. Donito. Not many people have made videos on prison food one makes, such as burritos, spreads, the small DIY equipment to cook, white lightning and moonshine, or even small tienditas people make and sell chips and other food in prison. I saw a clip on some man making ice cream in prison. LOL. Can you tell us about that? Man, that is such a vast topic because there's a hustle for everything. There's guys that do laundry. There's guys that iron clothes. There's guys that will clean your cell. There's guys that sell like little hobby craft. There's guys that run 2-for-1 stores, and there's guys that they do everything in there. There's cooks. They cook your food for you. I had a cook, and we gave him the equipment. We gave him a hot pot, a hot plate, everything he needed to cook. We provided him with the food, So the hustles are vast, you know, and the food is scrumptious. I haven't had a prison burrito since I was in prison, but I remember eating them. They're so good. You know, I've been to a couple places that compare with those, and I have to say the street food's a lot better. I don't want to go back and eat prison food no more. I'll never eat a top ramen again. I swear I won't. That's your question. That's my answer. Thank you so much, folks. Be sure to join as members to our Patreon channel. I want to advise again that the wiretaps, all the wiretap series, any wiretap past the wire episode that's gone up, I'll be posting the calls in their entirety on Patreon. So for those of you who felt that I interrupted too much or want to hear the call by itself, you'll hear it there. You'll be able to listen to it as it occurred, as it was recorded by law enforcement. And this is for you, Instagram followers. Thank you so much. We'll be having a drawing soon for everybody, YouTube and Instagram followers and Patreon members. We'll be out doing a drawing. I'll pass out some more books for you guys, the world. Peace out, folks. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I'm out.